Hey, it's Matthew Winquist again, showing you the prototype for the on-the-fly suspension shifter. As you can see here, I got a pretty good array of components laid out here. Um, just to highlight a couple, here's the battery pack right here, thumb switch, your servo motor for the compression on the fork, a motor for the rebound for the front forks, your voltage regulator, PIC microchip, motor driver chips, 1, 2, and 3. And that's pretty much it. It's literally that simple, that small. And as you can see, here's for a size reference, that's how big our breadboard is that we're using. It's a very small unit, and even if it were to just get packaged and sealed like this, it would take up very little of your room on your dirt bike. Alright, so let's go over some of the key features on this. I said there's your thumb switch before. Servo, fork motor, and voltage regulator, but this is the guy that I really want to highlight right here, which is the PIC microchip. The PIC microchip is the brains, the central control unit. It's going to control everything, it's mainly controlling these 3 motor drivers. But what's also installed in here is just a very basic C++ coding of telling the motor drivers what to do and how to do it. Just to give you some idea on the coding on such, instead of showing you countless lines of code, I did a medium baseline setting, which means that the medium setting on the fork suspension itself is just going to be a 0 timeline. Instead of using clicker positions and the amount of clicks, which having a motor sense and do is just unheard of and unnecessary, I'm using a time delay. I'm using a plus 0.2 seconds, minus 0.2 seconds. So to give you your adjustments. Now, in case you're wondering how a dirt bike suspension works and you're kind of lost, or I lost you in this whole project, just a general overview is something like this. What you have here is inside of your fork assembly, inside the compression and the rebound, there's a needle and seat assembly. Now, as you can imagine, these little holes right here are going to be clicker ball bearings, and inside the seat are going to be notches. So as it goes click, 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 click. But what's really happening is it's turning a circular motion into a linear motion. As you can imagine, any screw does. You tighten a screw, goes in, loosen screws, comes out. But the thread pitch, it determines how far the needle and the seat actually move in relation to each other. So full clicker maybe in, full out, full in. But what you're doing in all reality is exactly like this is shown here, is we have a needle and seat. Here's our needle, here's our seat. And what we're doing is we're blocking the amount of oil, or restricting the amount of oil flow through that orifice. So as measured on a bunch of different suspension setups, this orifice from full throw, from full in, full closed, to full out or full flow is only going to be about 0.8 millimeters on average. That's it. 0.8 millimeters is the full effect from a rock hard suspension to a super soft suspension. It makes all the difference in the world. So what my system is doing is, instead of having this circular motion that's turning circular motion via thread pitch into a linear motion, I'm replacing that with an actual motor itself to make the movement happen. But it's having an electro servo or an electric motor do the work. If you're not familiar with electro servos, it's just an electric motor with its own thread pitch that actually converts the circular motion into a linear motion and blocks it off. Now, like I mentioned before, our medium baseline is going to be set up as 0 time. So if I want my suspension to be harder, suspension harder, not terrain, suspension, I can move it in 0.2 seconds, which is going to throw approximately 0.2 millimeters into the closed position. Now, say I go from I want a super hard suspension to a super soft suspension. So we're going from full hard suspension to full soft. You hit the button, we go back to our 0 baseline and into our negative 0.2 or a 0.3 second, which is going to open it up. Now we can throw medium hard, hard to soft again, soft to hard, and we can cross this 0 threshold every time. But no matter what position we're in, we're always going to go back to that 0. So that's hence the 0 baseline in the programming. So this is what my system's actually doing. And like I said before, the PIC microchip is the one harnessing the code and the time delays. Now the time delays are what is going to be adjusted for each individual writer. Now we're going to either I adjust the number myself prior to mailing out the suspension, or the suspension kits are going to have a preset number, which we determine, or a professional race shop is going to tell me what their clicker settings should be, their baselines, and their highs and lows, and then I will adjust the times from there based on the amount of throw for that particular suspension, whether it be KYB, Showa, WP, so on and so forth. Sachs is another good one. The suspension kit is actually based off of a Sachs suspension. So just to give you an idea, this is actually a working prototype, and I'm going to show you how little the throw is. You didn't even see it move, did you? But in all reality, this guy moved about one spline. It moved one spline over. This guy only moved about maybe a 1/16 of a turn. Flip it back. That's it. This chip is programmed for my writing style and what I want. It's actually set at kind of an extreme too. As shown in a previous video, this is actually the same chip as what was shown in that video. It's that little of an adjustment is what makes the difference between a soft terrain, hard terrain, or a medium terrain. But we're now allowing it by the addition of motors and proper coding and timing and a lot of research and previous research from before from other suspension shops. We're now able to dial this in with a simple thumb switch and a very small kit. Ideally, for the final production, this entire assembly is going to be about the size of the servo motor itself. Fully embedded, fully protected, vibration proof, waterproof, so on and so forth, but we can fit all these components into said kit. So it'll be a very, very tiny kit, with the motors actually being bigger than the actual programming itself. Thank you for watching my Kickstarter video, and let me know. Feel free to ask any questions, and let me know if you have any problems.